Hi, I'm Zaakirah, and I am the host of the See Life Different podcast. This podcast is perfect for you if you are a Black, Indigenous, woman of color, ready to step outside of your comfort zone. This podcast will inspire you, empower you, and educate you on how to see life differently, whether it's in your business or in your personal life. I am a cancer survivor, brand cultivating strategist, author, and world traveler. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the accessible content. How come you're not using captions in your videos? How come you're not describing either what you look like or what people are supposed to be looking at for those who cannot see or cannot hear that well? And how to make sure that you're more empathetic when you are traveling. Pay attention to more ramps, whether a place has ramps and stairs or work an elevator or not. Pay attention to noise levels at the places that you go to. How can you be more empathetic when you are traveling and when you're making your travel content? I enjoyed my first time attending the WITS Travel Creator Summit in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It was also my first time speaking at the Keynote main stage speaker. In this podcast, I will be sharing about my experience networking, attending, speaking on a stage, and being a Black disabled Muslim woman, what it was like with the accommodations and from a disability point of view. So I am Zaakirah, and I am a brand strategist, travel creator, and I'm blind in one eye as a result of a childhood eye cancer survivor. I am also hard of hearing, so I lost my hearing a little bit due to the radiation treatment. Having been traveling for a long time, using social media to tell my story for a very long time, it's so rare to be in a room with other women and gender diverse advocates and allies and to understand the ever-changing content creation industry. I got to just not only be an attendee, but I also got to speak. And it was my first time having a major keynote session, and I got to speak to anywhere between 200 and 500 women and gender diverse individuals. And it was an amazing experience. And was I nervous? No, because I've been blessed with the opportunity back in 2024 to do a TEDx talk. When I applied, I looked for the speaker application and paid attention to the deadline. And once I got accepted, I was so excited, but they specifically said, we want you to do exactly what you did on TEDx stage, but let's talk about the accessible content. So that's exactly what I did. I talked about content. How come you're not using captions in your videos? How come you're not describing either what you look like or what people are supposed to be looking at for those who cannot see or cannot hear that well? And how to make sure that you're more empathetic when you are traveling. Pay attention to more ramps, whether a place has ramps and stairs or work an elevator or not. Pay attention to noise levels at the places that you go to. How can you be more empathetic when you are traveling and when you're making your travel content? It was really amazing. The team was very accommodating. From the start, we had a WhatsApp group with everybody's number. So I had everybody's number. Everybody was super helpful with helping each other to get content. Nowadays, we have amazing tripod stands and the cameras like the one I'm using right now where it can automatically track you. But sometimes you need a good old here, can you please hold my phone and grab this video of me walking or looking back. So it was amazing to be in a space where everyone is just really open and welcoming because we know how hard this industry can be. So from the start, because I had access to the team, any questions that I had was addressed. It was also one of the few conferences that paid their speakers. Yeah, most conferences, I've been to a lot of conferences, I've spoken at a lot of conferences, and not a lot of them do that. So I left WITS feeling seen, welcomed, and valued. It was also great research for me to understand how I can now combine all of my loves, my love of traveling. I've been to over 15 countries and half of the United States at the time of this podcast. And I've also have a knack for teaching people how to tell their stories. And now I can combine it with advocating for those who have disability that are in worse conditions than me, but they still want to travel. They still want to capture content. And the most amazing part is that this specific conference, they always travel to a specific place. And when they travel, they make sure to have fam trips or familiarization trips to go to see certain places. And so the beautiful thing is that I grew up in the city where the conference was. So I didn't shoot too many familiarization trips, but it was so fun to hear some of the ladies when we're sitting around in the hotel lobby and bumping into each other after lunch and stuff, hearing them be so fascinated about certain things. And if they hadn't gotten to check out certain things, I was encouraging them to do so. I probably could have gotten more up-to-date content because my photos are from the convenience store that are printed in the darkroom days, right? But I know that I'll be back because I was also inspired to find some other way to tell more of my dad's story. I realized that where my dad grew up, a place called Etowah, Tennessee, Athens, Tennessee, which is where my dad is from. I want to come back, work out a partnership of a different way with Visit Chattanooga, for example, or work something out since Etowah and Athens don't exactly have a tourism organization yet, and come back and tell a different story. I enjoyed the time of attending the Bessie Smith Cultural Center, which predominantly was music and Chattanooga history. So anyone who is super close to me knows that I love Usher Raymond, the singer. And it was so exciting to see that his Super Bowl skates and jackets and helmets and awards are actually in that museum because he grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And that's how I found out about him. We were living in Chattanooga, Tennessee when I heard his song, You Remind Me, on the radio for the first time. So I'm a music lover, and it was so exciting also to see Kane Brown, who is also one of the few Black country artists of the 21st century. And to see his awards performances that he got to do during the pandemic between the years of 2020 and 2022. And it was also made him to attend an ice cream social, an ice cream meetup to meet some people from the Black Travel Alliance in person. The Black Travel Alliance has been around since 2020, but technically it starts way before that because there's a lot of travel groups, maybe like Facebook groups, that started off helping each other to travel and start travel content. And then a lot of them branched off into their own private communities. But at the core of it all, we're all very supportive of one another. So it was so exciting to attend the ice cream social, and I went to scoop around and find out Scoop-alicious in Chattanooga and eat. So the speakers had a chance to get a networking event be at the Hotel Chalet, which is actually, it used to be a train depot, train station, and they turned it into a hotel. So you can actually sleep in a train car. There's the area called Choo Choo. And so now it's like broken down into different stores. So I got to have coffee and sandwiches at Frothy Monkey, Asian food place called Attack of the Tatsu. The hotel also was super amazing. It was a Hilton hotel, so I was able to add my points. I'm grateful that the hotel room was comped. So be sure to check out the hotel if you want a Hilton hotel when you're visiting Chattanooga that is so close, walking distance to a grocery store, all of these restaurants, all of these amenities. There's a free shuttle that can take you around town, or it's not even at the time of this video, $5 and 5 minute Uber ride. I think one thing that's so rare and uncommon is that I actually got to be a roommate with some of the other attendees. Well, one was a speaker. I didn't even know it until I got into the room. So what happens is there's a hotel booking group where you book for the dates of the actual conference. But for those who are getting familiarization trips, you are at any kind of hotel. And so I was like, I need a room with someone. I'm on a tight budget right now. And there's a Facebook group where someone posted and they responded through DM where I could room with them. If you're one of those that has siblings, this is nothing, right? But for me, my siblings are 7, 14 years older than me, right? So it's been a long time since I've shared a bed with another woman, but it was perfectly fine because that's how we look out for each other. Of okay, well, it's about to get a little tight here, so we're gonna have a little sleepover for a day or two. But little did I know that I was a roommate. I had a roommate with another one of the speakers, and it was great to get duration of the things that I've learned and how to intertwine all of this with the ever-changing technology. It's really a wonderful community. One of my favorite parts was being able to dress up for the Bessie Awards. The Wonderful is the name of the community before they started having events and in-person group trips. They also started something called the Bessie Coleman Awards, named after one of the first Black women pilots. And so they honored a woman in any industry, but my favorite honorees were the Black and Latina, Afro and Indigenous women who got awarded. One of the first women in space to pilot. So yeah, I had a great experience, and I can't wait to see what the WITS Travel Creator Summit does next. So if you are considering attending WITS as a creator, as a travel professional, even if you have a disability, I hope you do. They're going to be in Michigan, not far from Detroit, Michigan in 2027, and definitely do that. I'll be watching from afar and always supporting because they were very supportive. If you've never attended, wondered about attending, definitely put it on your radar. And if you are ready to learn more about how you can travel like me, you can travel with me, you can make sure that your content is accessible to those with disabilities, be sure to check out the link in the comments, link in the description for ways you can book a one-on-one mentorship with me, download my book and my guide. I wrote a book called Seeing Life Through a Different Lens, where I talked about the first half of my life. My mom and I together, we talked about what it was like being a childhood eye cancer survivor, a little bit of growing up in Tennessee as well. Tell me, what's one thing you are going to do to make sure that when you travel, your content is more accessible for those who may not see through your lens? Until then, I enjoy the 13-minute audio of my main stage talk, and I see you in the next podcast.
Please welcome to the stage Zaakirah.
How many of you, raise your hand if you've been to more than 5 countries? Okay. I see some people like, I want to get there too. Next question. How many of you have seen someone in a wheelchair at this event? Okay, good. Paying attention. Okay, and my last question for you is, how many of you have seen someone with a hearing aid or know someone with a hearing loss? That's not bad. I'm expecting less hands because that's invisible, right? And that's what we're going to talk about. How you can make sure your content is more accessible for those with disabilities that you can't see. So, I am Zaakirah, and if you have a hard time remembering it, think of Hips Don't Lie, Zaakirah. So, I am blind in my right eye as a result of a childhood eye cancer. So, the photo is me at 6 months with a white glow in front of my eye. I was looking, facing the sunshine, babbling, just talking to my mom who took the picture wearing a white hat and a white shirt. And that is a photograph that she took to doctors to get a second opinion in order for me to get my eye surgically removed at 9 months old. As a result of the radiation treatment, I lost my hearing a little bit, so I am a world traveler though. I've been to over 15 countries, on 4 continents, half of the United States. I've never let it stop me. And my dad is from right here, an hour away, in Etowah, Tennessee. Not Ottawa, for those of you who are here. Not Ottawa, Etowah. Alright, so travel is supposed to expand how we see the world, right? But many disabled travelers, like myself, are still not able to be fully immersed into it. We're still excluded. So, according to Expedia's Journeys for All 2024 study, 70% of travelers would plan travel if they feel more represented. 68% of travelers will rather see more accessibility features when they're booking travels online. 42% of travelers still feel limited by their identities by just simply planning travel. And 50% actually feel represented in advertisements and promotions, which means we have a long way to go, right? So accessibility is not one size fits all. Accessibility is not one size fits all. Most travel media assumes everyone experiences the destination the same way. We all need to make sure that we need wheelchair access into a place. We need to make sure we can see where we're going, written instructions. We all need extra time, but sometimes we forget about those who are neurodivergent or can't hear or can't see that well. So most travel media rarely include clear, accessible information, inclusive sensory descriptions, realistic mobility realities, and consideration of those with neurodivergent travelers. So even the government in Canada was saying that 29% of travelers don't even bother to travel. They get stopped before they even start to travel. And as a result, 40% of other travelers also get stopped at terminals, such as airport terminals and ferry terminals. So here's an example. My mom moved to Ghana. I visited her in April of this year, and we went to a place called Aburi Botanical Garden. So the image is me wearing a pink kimono, then I have a burnt orange head wrap on, and my mom is sitting also with a white kimono or throwover, and she's sitting in a chair. But the chair that she's sitting in, I had to ask for that, right? We arrived in a vehicle, I had to ask, can we drive through the botanical Botanical Garden, so she doesn't have to walk that much. They kind of looked at me like I was speaking a different language. And then, by then, that's when we would like to at least have a chair for her to sit in and at every single stop. But the one thing that they did not ask was, how can I help you? They thought my mom came, but they didn't ask, how can I help you? And here's another example. There's something called the Hidden Disability Sunflower Lanyard. It was established 10 years ago in London, but I found out about it on a recent stopover airport stop in Abu Dhabi. And normally, anyone with a disability hates going to airports because you can't hear the announcement, you barely see the announcement, and then when you have to have gate changes, how are you going to get to the other side if the person who was willing to go over there decided to leave and go to help somebody else? So this sunflower lanyard allows us to also have a card where my specific card allows me to say, I have a hair loss, please make sure you're facing me, make sure that you approach me to my left side since I can't see in my right eye as well. So now we're going to talk about ways you can make your content more accessible. So use and edit captions. So the captions are helpful for, especially when there's lots of people, places, and things that the automatic captions won't be able to pick up, right? My name is still a weird name in captions. So examples like where you have a beautiful name and beautiful names of places, but the automatic captions won't pick that up. You can use apps like your Instagram edit app, like CapCut, like Descript to be able to personalize and edit that specific caption. And you should also use video and image description. This is good for your search engine optimization so that your post actually shows up on Google and gets shown to generative AI. But it also helps those who cannot see at all. They use something called screen reader, which allows them to tell the screen what exactly they're looking at. And then make sure you're using proper contrast. When you're editing your graphic and your YouTube thumbnails, make sure that you have proper contrast. Maybe give yourself an actual eye exam. If you are trying to step away and look at your graphic from afar, would you be able to see white text on an orange background? Now, some more examples of how to use image and video descriptions. Explain what you're looking at and where you went as if you were talking to a 5-year-old or an elder. They ask you like, what's that? What's this photo? Describe everything as if you were talking to an elder or a 5-year-old. And also use your 6 senses. Use texture. Is it a soft texture? Is it a little bit rough? Is it a sound? Is it water? Is it wind? Is it a movement? Is it slow movement, fast movement? And what kind of atmosphere is it? Is it moody? Is it fun? Is it happy? And it's okay to mention skin tones and use your colors. And also try to include more accessibility examples in your content. Does the place have stairs? Does the place have a ramp? Is there dim lighting? Is there bright lighting? How's the crowd level? Is there a lot of people? Is it easy to navigate through a lot of people? Or was it small and intimate with a little bit of people? And noise levels. Even though we all put music over our content nowadays, it is still helpful to make sure that you put it somewhere in the caption that says, it's actually really noisy environment. And how is the transportation access for you? And try to think of others who may need to get into that specific driverless Waymo or Uber or Lyft. Caption everything. Now, you probably already are looking at a video on silent because you're in an environment where you can't turn on the audio and you don't want to put your headphones in, right? But you're also giving out people who actually can't hear. So they're automatically going to skip your video because they can't hear. So every app now has their automatic Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. They all have settings for captions now. So either let people know that they can enable it themselves or go ahead and add it to your videos and photos. Okay, so Canva has a feature in your settings for alternative text. You can edit anything that you're making in Canva, but you have to look for a bit more advanced setting and look for alt text, and it'll have the AI generative option for you to do that in the chat. You don't have much time to really specify what we're looking at. So here's an example of when I use Canva. So this is the image of me, a black African-American woman, wearing a kimono, and I'm in a Aburi Botanical Garden. So although they didn't know who I was, where I was, or what I'm wearing, right? This is where you have the advantage because you know where you went, you know what you're wearing, you know what you look like, to be able to personalize that for those who are looking at your content to know, okay, this is how to describe this image. And then another text from a previous speaker, with attendee and speaker from Chattanooga. She had a carousel about 10 years ago. She was reflecting 10 years ago, and she had a mix of audio and video. So she started off describing herself, her skin tone, her hair color, what color she was wearing, and then she went in to give a brief overview of what she was doing, what she was wearing, where she was at. And now if you're looking at this, I don't have time for that, I don't have enough character space for that, then here's a simpler example. Tiffany Yu, she's a traveler as well. She's also the author of Anti-Ableist Manifesto, and she also had a carousel where she was talking about her experience surfing. So she has the description of the fact that she had an actual shot of her surfing, then she had more pictures to describe that she was with a person who was also an author, and then she also just had a different verb for what else she was doing in the rest of the images. So, empathy is a powerful accessibility tool when used properly. When you use it properly, it'll expand your audience reach, it'll improve your social media engagement, they won't skip your videos anymore, and they strengthen your brand partnerships. And as a result, that we build more trust both between content creator to content creator as well as more partnerships. So when travel media is more honest, more inclusive, and more representable, it brings more moolah. So, stay with me. Design your content so that no one is excluded. Design your content so that no one is excluded. Good. Now, there's more where that came from. This was just a short overview, and so you have two ways to do this. You can either get access to this specific slide if you're like, I need more time to see it, I didn't get all the pictures, or you actually want a guide that expands a bit more, like how do I really do this, or you prefer to have a mentorship session and actually work with me to make sure that you're using it properly, even if you're plugging in your images already to your generative AI platform. I have a mentorship session as well. You're welcome to email me any questions that you have. You can just go to the website. Thank you.